Meet Johnny Rico, just your typical 30-year-old high school senior. His super hot, super smart girlfriend Carmen, and his super psychic best friend Carl. And then there's this other chick, Dizzy, who's got the hots for him, but he doesn't really like her, and so, it's this whole thing. Carmen and Carl want to join the military, and Johnny kind of tags along. Carmen's off to flight school, Carl's off to military intelligence, and Johnny ends up in the infantry. It kind of sucks. And then Dizzy's there, but he's all bitchy about it because he doesn't really like her. And then he gets a Dear John letter from Carmen, which he really should have seen coming, but kind of didn't. And then he's all sad and boo-hoo, and he gets lashes, and it's this whole problem, and he almost washes out, but then a giant meteor hits his hometown and kills everybody. You see, the Federation is at war with Clendathu, a planet populated by bugs on the other end of the galaxy that shoots meteors at the Earth every once in a while. Post this recent attack, the Federation launches an assault on Clendathu. Rico, Dizzy, and their friends are sent into space and all end up on the same ship as Carmen and Carmen's new boyfriend. The whole attack goes kind of tits up, and Rico is reported dead. Rico and Dizzy are then reassigned to the Roughnecks and start killing bugs. Rico rises in rank as various people die, shit happens, action, Rico and Dizzy get together, more action, it's a trap, Dizzy dies, oh no, Carmen to the rescue! Carmen, Rico, and Carl then reunite at Dizzy's funeral. Carl has this theory that bugs are being controlled by super smart brain bugs. Rico and Carmen go out to find the brain bugs, Carmen's boyfriend gets killed, the brain bug is captured, woohoo, do your part for the Federation! The
Service
end.
guarantees citizenship.
Fuck yeah, I want to know more. Starship Troopers. Alright, so that's what it was about. Now what is it, and why should we give a shit? Starship Troopers was a science fiction action movie directed by Paul Verhoeven that came out in 1997. It was based on the 1959 book by Robert A. Heinlein. Heinlein is a big deal in terms of sci-fi. He wrote Stranger in a Strange Land, Time Enough for Love, The Moon is a Harsh Mistress, Glory Road, Have a Space Suit Will Travel, and chances are, if you read sci-fi, you've read one of his books or at least heard of him. He's the guy who coined the term speculative fiction. He grew up in Missouri, in the heart of the Bible Belt, and served in the U.S. Navy, so it shouldn't be a surprise that his books deal with religion and the military, but not necessarily in ways you might expect. He had a lot of thoughts on libertarianism, sexual liberation, and that racism should just not be a thing. Very little of his work has been adapted for the screen, and if I had to take a guess as to why, I'd say it's probably related to all of the fucking sex in it. Though this doesn't apply so much to Starship Troopers. As far as Starship Troopers goes, though, did you know that the movie was whitewashed? Yeah, it kinda was. Heinlein was a clever dude. He introduced his main character, Johnny Rico, and let his readers get nice and attached, then revealed that Johnny was not actually a nickname for John. It was a nickname for Juan. His main character was Filipino and spoke Tagalog as well as English, and was significantly less white than the readers might have been assuming. This probably doesn't seem like a big deal now, but keep in mind that this was written by a white dude in Missouri in his 50s, in the 50s. That being said, the movie deviates hugely from the book. If you want the details, somebody's already made that video, and I have linked it below. On to the movie. It was directed by Paul Verhoeven, who you might know from RoboCop, Total Recall, Basic Instinct, and Showgirls. I know what you're thinking, but weirdly I liked Showgirls. Verhoeven's Dutch and has memories of his neighborhood being repeatedly bombed in World War II and has pretty strong feelings about war in general and fascism in particular. The movie received largely negative reviews, but it did get nominated for an Academy Award for visual effects. It was mostly accused of being better made than the content deserved and has a 63% out of 51 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. It gets a lot of criticism for wooden acting and basically being an action gore fest for teenage sci-fi geek boys. But it still managed to make enough money to merit 2 live-action direct-to-DVD sequels. I've only watched the third one and fell asleep at various times during it, so I can't really speak to their quality.
Sure.
I hope so. I hope you don't ruin your life over some silly little girl who wants to look handsome in a uniform.
Don't talk about Carmen that way.
Johnny...
Okay, so that's what it is and what it's about. Now, why does anyone give a shit? Well, 3 reasons. 1, it's actually totally enjoyable to watch. Paul Verhoeven knows how to put a movie together. It's visually very consistent, the cheese factor is high, it's incredibly quotable, there are great action scenes, and an engaging plot that doesn't need jump scares or surprise plot twists to keep the audience interested. A lot of the world-building exposition is taken care of through a series of PSAs that are funny. The audiences continually asked, would you like to know more? And I guess if you hated the movie, this would probably be annoying as hell, but I loved it. Reason 2. Holy shit, this thing's a satire. Maybe everyone else on the planet got that, but I'm pretty sure it took me 10 years and maybe 30 viewings of this film to understand the intent. It all should have been made painfully obvious right at the beginning, but for some reason I just didn't get it.
This year we explored the failure of democracy, how the social scientists brought our world to the brink of chaos. We talked about the veterans, how they took control, and impose the stability that has lasted for generations since.
I know I'm not the brightest crayon in the box, but I'm also not the only one to have missed this. And that's what makes it so much better. It's not spelled out. Well, okay, so it is kind of spelled out. But moving along. Reason 3. This shit is feminist as fuck. It is pretty whitewashed. Some efforts were made to put people of color in the background, but I'm fairly certain that anyone with a speaking role was white. That being said, sexism does not appear to exist. There are plenty of women at all levels of command. There might be slightly more men than women in the infantry, but they have communal showers, communal living spaces, there's no creepy sexual tension, they're all equals. Dizzy gets choked out by an instructor on her first day of boot camp just like anybody else. Which brings me to Carmen. Oh, Carmen, it's so easy to hate her. She basically slides down banisters and flirts her way through flight school like she's starring in a MaxiPad commercial. But when you think about it, she's smart, she knows what she wants, repeatedly tells Rico that she's not sure about their future together and that he needs to make his own decisions about enlisting, breaks up with him to pursue a career, she becomes a badass pilot, and goes on to become a badass captain. As you can probably tell, this movie is not for everyone. I might like it for totally different reasons than you do, or I might like it for the exact same reasons that you find it incredibly obnoxious and annoying. Either way, there's definitely a lot there, so anytime you're looking for something a little bit corny and a whole lot campy, this is probably a good candidate.